In the previous section, we've created backend for core functionalities of our social network application. In this section, we're going to focus on relationships between our users. In this section, we're going to cover adding friends, deleting friends, and privacy options for sharing content. In this video, we're going to create adding friends mechanism. First, we are going to create many-to-many relationship between users. Then, we'll create add friend endpoint. And at the end, we're going to create new route in Angular. We will start with creating two new routes for our application. First route is going to be /user/friends, and it will return us all friends of concrete users. And second will be add the friends method. So user will be able to add another user to his friends. We will also need to enable getting users list. So user will be able to list all users of our application, so he can choose user that he wants to add as his friend. We will start by making possible to get a list of all users in our application. So we are in user controller PHP, and we're going to modify index function. We need to return here response. Now we should be able to get a list of all users, and we can try this in Postman. We are going to hit endpoint localhost/API/users, and let's press send. And we can see we get a list of all users in our application. To our user model, we will add relationship of friends. So each user has many friends. Friends is going to be has many relationship of type user. So first we need to create this relationship. When we have many-to-many relationship, we need to use belongs to many. First there's type, table name. This table is going to contain our mapping between users. And then we have names for the keys. Now we could also add another method, which is going to be called hasFriend with ID. And it's simply going to check if friend with this user ID is already in our relationship. So we need to return this friends. Friends is a collection, so we can call contains method on it. And we need to pass user ID. We also need to add method to add friends to our relationship. So let's create a new function called addFriendById. And first we're going to add this friend to our collection. So we need to call this friends. And we're going to call attach method with our ID. So it's going to be added to our collection. We need to add friend to logged user friends collection, as well as we need to add logged user to friends collection. So we need to add it both ways. So now we need to find this friend. And to friends, we need to attach ID of user who's adding friend to his friends. Now we need to create a table for storing our mapping between users. So we need to modify our migrations. So first of all, delete second migration, and let's try to keep only one migration. So let's move this to trash. And let's modify our first migration. This is overview of our changes to our first migration. First of all, we've moved creating posts to our first migration, so we can see this here. And we also drop this when migration is rolled back. But we also add new table called friends, and it is a mapping between our users. So here we create a table with 3 columns, so it's really simple. It's just storing a mapping. There's ID, then there's ID of first user and ID of second user. In our migration, we also need to destroy our friends table when we reverse this migration. In our migration, we also need to drop friends table when this migration is reversed. Now we need to reset our migration, so we need to get into our workspace container in Docker. So let's run docker compose exec workspace bash. And now we can run PHP artisan migrate reset. And our migrations are rolled back. Now we need to run migrate again. And now we should have correct database schema. Now we're ready to add another method to our user controller, which is going to return friends of currently logged user. So let's create a new method called friends. And it's going to return friends of currently logged user. To use auth facade, we also need to import it. When our method in user controller is created, we need to add route in our API PHP file. So let's create new route users/friends, which is going to call user controller friends method. Now in Postman, we should be able to get friends of currently logged user. And we can see that currently it's an empty array, but we don't get any errors, which means our database is correctly set up. Now let's add another route responsible for adding friends. So this is going to be post route /users. Then we are going to have our user ID, which is a parameter. And at the end, there's going to be add friend. And this is going to call user controller add friend method, which we need to create. This is our add friend method. First, we add them to find user with ID passed in our route. If there's no user like this, we return error message. Also, we return error message when user that we're trying to add to our friends is user with the same ID as currently logged user. So basically, you can't add yourself to friends. And finally, we also check if you aren't friends already. If yes, then we also return error. When everything is correct, we call addFriendById method and we pass ID that we want to add. When everything is fine, we add this user to friends of logged user. And also return success equals true JSON message. Now we are ready to test this. So currently, we have 2 users in our application, and we are logged as first one. If we check friends of currently logged user, we can see the array is empty. So we will add user with ID 2 to our friends. Its name is John Doe. So we need to call post localhost/API/users/user ID. In this example, it's 2/add friend. And now we can press send, and we can see we get success true message. Now if we press send, we should get message that we're already friends with this user. And we can see that we get correct error message. Now if we will try to get our friends instead of empty array, we should see array that contains John Doe. And we can see that this is exactly what happens when we call users/friends. Now when we are logged in our application, we need to create new route. This route is going to be called users, and user will be able to see their list of all users in application, as well as information if certain user is already his friend or not. There's also going to be possibility to add friend using this view. First, we need to generate new view. So let's create our component using ngg component users friends. Now we are going to create new route. So this route is going to have path users and component users friends component. This is how our users view is going to look like. And this is a template behind our code. So basically we have a link to social feed. Below we have title, and main section and the most important thing is table, which is going to render all users also with their status. Status could be either stranger or friend. There's also add friend button. We can also navigate to social feed, and now social feed also contains link to our users and friends. We can also modify the title. For the sake of consistency, we've also modified the title here. Before we dive into modifying our user friends component, we need to modify our user entity. First, we need to create two new properties, ID and friends. Then we specify that we accept this in our constructor, so it can be set. And also, we've added new method called isFriendOf. It checks whether user is friend of another user. And this is TypeScript code of our users friends component. First, we inject network service and auth service. We also specify two properties, current user and users. Then, in ng-oninit, we fetch current user info and set current user property, as well as we set this users to result of get users and friends function. This is our get users and friends function. First, we send request for our users, and then we send request for friends. Then we set friends of current user to our response. At the end, we return user's response, but we want to exclude currently logged user, so we don't see ourselves on users list. In our HTML, we've modified our table template. So first, we've added a loop. So for each user in users array, we want to display user full name And also, if user is friend of current user, you can see we call current user is friend of and then pass user of current iteration. Then we print friend, else we print stranger. And this is the result of our work. We can see all our friends here. We've added John Doe to friends using API and Postman. So currently we can see that status of John Doe is friend. However, we should hide add friend button when this user is currently our friend. So here let's add ngIf and let's copy this condition. But we need the reverse, so if user isn't friend of current user, of currently logged user. Now in our application, we don't see add friend button if user is already our friend. Using Postman, let's add another user. And now we've added another user. Let's refresh the page. And we can see that our new user is displayed. Now we should add logic behind add friend button. So let's add click equals add friend, and we want to pass user of current iteration. Now in our user friends component we've added very simple add friend method. It issues a post request to user/user ID/add friend, and if response is successful, then we add this user to friends of currently logged user. Our logic is in place, so now we can test if add friend button works. So currently we have this user that has status stranger, and let's click add friend. And we can see that everything had to run correctly because we can see that Adam is now our friend. The result is obviously persisted across our sessions. In this video we've created adding friends mechanism.